Add to the conversation at the Relationship Roundtable. It's the Scott Murray Show with Steve, Calvin, Trey, and Scott.
And we're back. We have a caller from Waxahachie. Jeff, are you still with us?
I'm here, sir. How y'all doing?
Good, Jeff. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I just want to preface this by saying that I'm not calling to be confrontational at all. With your guests here, I was wanting to tell them I'm sick to my stomach about what happened to his daughter. I'm married. I got married in 1975 to a high yellow. He'll understand what I'm talking about. And I got a son that's 41, a daughter is 39, and a daughter is 35. And they went through some hard times. And me and my wife, of course, in the 70s, being married as a mixed race was not good. But the point I want to make, to me, there's not enough, how do I want to say it? The way I was raised, I'm in my 60s, that we were raised, if you keep your head in the Bible and you believe in Jesus Christ, nobody can bully you. I mean, now physically, yes, they can, but the problem I see nowadays with the young generations, like my grandchildren, are that they keep their face in social media, and that's how they're getting bullied, instead of, paying attention to their schooling and their religion.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the social media bullying personally. I'm in my 60s as well. When you're bullied physically, you know it. I was bullied when I was in the 8th, 9th, and into the 10th grade.
Oh, I was too.
It was just a pure physical deal. Obviously we didn't have social media back then, but
I'm trying to make sense of what I'm trying to say. It's just that I feel there's too much social media involved with these children nowadays. That's how they're getting bullied. I mean, like I said, when I was a boy growing up in high school, yeah, it was all the time. I played football, played baseball, there was always somebody wanting to whoop on you or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with you, Jeff. Way too much social media, way too much, thinking and just interaction on social media. If these kids would just pay attention to their, schoolwork and go home and do what they're supposed to do, a lot of it wouldn't exist. But, obviously that's the world we live in today.
But then I think sometimes social media calls attention to it as well.
Which is true.
True.
And raises it as an issue. And, I think it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. Jeff, we appreciate your call very much.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. So I'll just talk about my experience real quick. I was a small kid, kind of like Jabbar, and I was not a fighter. I mean, I was a white kid in a white neighborhood, pretty much a white school in North Dallas, and this kid just caught me out on the playground all the time and just pushed me down. I don't remember him hitting me per se, but he would push me down, not let me get up, and then he'd leave, and then the next day he'd push me down and all that stuff. And that went on for a couple of years. And so when I was in 10th grade, we went to high school, and they had one of these universal gym weight machines in there, and I started working out. And one day this kid walked through the gym, and I was literally bench pressing the entire stack. It was 220 pounds, the bench press.
Wow.
And I benched and he saw me do it, and that was the last time. last time he messed with me. Yeah. So,
that was it.
And I didn't tell anybody. I didn't know to tell anybody. I didn't say a word to anybody because I was embarrassed by it.
Right.
And I never retaliated against him because I didn't know how to fight.
Back in the day, the saying was the way to stop a bully was to pop a bully. But unfortunately, not everybody has that in them. Like you were just saying, you didn't have that aggressiveness in you. I'm sure if he had started welling on you, you would have swung back. But that's what happens is a lot of the times these kids have, out of the embarrassment, they have no one to tell. They feel like that's it. I don't have anyone to tell. And so for a lot of them, the only way out is suicide. And that's what happens.
And that's just a horrible, horrific way to solve that problem.
That's right.
And you know what is funny? I remember being on a school bus and people picked on this one girl. And these certain 3 or 4 people always picked on her. You know what she did one day, and it was funny. It's a good story. She started singing one day. And she had a beautiful voice and nobody knew it. And she started singing Whitney Houston, and everybody on the bus was like, sing for us. And then these same 3 or 4 people that used to pick on her, the whole bus got mad at those people when they tried to pick on her again, because they were like, no, leave her alone.
Wow.
And it just reminded me, that kind of popped up. And that's why when I was like maybe in the 5th or 6th grade, where you saw a situation where sometimes other kids won't allow certain folks to bully. I mean, we all got to stand up, and you got to teach your kids to stand up to that.
Well, you know, one of the biggest things now with these school districts, if a child is bullied and that child wants to defend themselves, when they do fight, that child is suspended also. That child is punished for defending themselves. So now it's like, okay, my daughter told me, she's like, well, I didn't do anything back to her. One time where she actually got jumped, and her and the other little girl, they were hit. The curtain rod fell down.
Wow.
Boom. And that little girl grabbed that curtain rod because it fell on her. Everybody laughing. Well, she knew who she had always bullied and picked them out, and literally hit them with the curtain rod like 5 or 6 times.
Wow.
5 or 6 times.
And there was no teacher?
Oh, it gets better. It was reported. There is a written report, and nothing happened. Nothing happened to this child.
So it wasn't taken to the principal, no further disciplinary action?
I can explain that to you.
The written letter where they write out this statement, it was given to the principal.
I'll explain it to you.
All right.
You want me to explain it to you?
Yes.
What a lot of school districts are doing, especially the administrators, they don't want reports of those kinds of issues going on in their schools. When it looks bad to the administration themselves, and they actually get kind of punished for them as principals or administrators if they have those kinds of incidents or a certain number of incidents in their schools. It makes them look like that they can't manage their campuses.
That's right.
So what they'll do is, instead of reporting it like they're supposed to and using policy, they'll go by and not report it, and the kids get hurt by it.
Hang on one sec. The engineer wants to say something about a solution to this, perhaps.
Yeah, because this is such an important topic, and you guys have touched on so many different things, but the one thing that I haven't heard is what to do for the kids. Yes, it needs to be reported to the children because they're the ones dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. So you guys don't know this. I've known you for several months. I'm a first-degree black belt in Taekwondo, and I teach Taekwondo 2 nights a week. The school that I teach at, we do every cycle, so every 2 months, we do a new bully prevention teaching to the kids and the adults to some degree. And we started with the little ones, 5, 6 years old. Right now, what we're teaching them is 2 things to remember. Snippet number 1 is what we call it. Know where the bullies are, know where the hot spots are, and stay away from them. Snippet number 2, and this one is very important, and it goes back to what you guys touched on at the very beginning. The first thing I do when I'm being bullied is breathe, because we don't want the kids to just lash out and have a knee-jerk reaction. We want them to breathe. We want them to take control of themselves first, and we want them to figure out that the best way to handle the situation is actually to get away from it. We don't want to encourage the violence. We don't want to encourage a physical confrontation by any of these kids or anybody else. But we are teaching them the skills that they can use if it gets to that point, because in addition to the bully prevention things that we're teaching them every cycle, we also teach them self-defense techniques every cycle.
That's a great solution if you can get your kids. I mean, if the kids tell you, and you know, you can get them into programs like that to learn from.
My son has his black belt, and part of the instruction that he received at his dojo was anti-bullying. And actually, one of the other guests that I tried to get on here, but I couldn't, was his karate instructor who teaches a course specifically aimed at anti-bullying.
Yeah, and you whip up on, or you take a stance or something against one of these kids. I think that'll make the bullying stop pretty quick.
Know, it's funny you say that, because Harry, I don't know if you remember, I grew up in martial arts and Taekwondo.
Yeah, I remember.
Andrea actually got me involved in it, and so that is one way. That is one way. But when I think back and I look at my daughter, her older brother boxed, her daddy boxed. She was raised in a boxing gym. She knows how to defend herself, but it was the fear of getting in trouble, even in more trouble at school, is why she didn't. And so of course, I agree with him that no, we don't want, we want it to stop. We want violence to stop. That's the ultimate goal here. But somebody has to be held accountable. We say, well, it starts at home. Well, I don't know too many parents that teach their kids how to bully. So whether it's something deeper at home, that's something else. But the one thing I do know is what this Fort Worth ISD and what these school district policies say, which is a zero tolerance. But yet and still, nothing is happening.
They should inform you. You're right.
That's right.
And I think we're about to close out for tonight. And bullying is a topic that I think we could probably touch on again and again. It's not going anywhere. But I think the more awareness that we raise of it, and the more that we have discussions like this, I think the better we are, particularly as a society and going forward.
I think we should do it again one day. We should have this topic again one day.
Thank you all for having me. Thank you, Harry.
Thank you for being here. And Scott, we miss you. We'll see you next week. And Texas, good night. Thank you.
The